Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Writers' Workshop, production of CCUA and produced especially for our marketing network folks and anyone else who also sends out marketing and communications releases to the media. Um, Please feel free to type any questions that you have in the chat room underneath of the viewing box, and we make sure that they get addressed. With us today for our first part of the series, we have from Epic Marketing Consultants Corporation, we have Amy Warrington, who is the creative director. We have Darren McBride, who is a blog writer extraordinaire and journalist in real life. And we also have Peter Shankman, a five-time selling best author and expert in marketing, social media, brand building, and customer service. So I'm going to go ahead and let Amy go ahead and give us a little bit more details about Peter, and then we'll get into our subject for today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and hi, everybody. I am pleased to be here this morning and even more excited to introduce my esteemed colleague, Peter. So Epic is a full-service marketing company, and we've been around for a little while. And how we got to meet Peter was kind of by a serendipitous occurrence. My CEO was a fan of Peter from the start, as is pretty much everyone who's read his work. Sorry, Peter, let me just gush on you a tiny bit. And he put out a tweet saying that he was writing his next masterpiece and he needed help from the world at large to give him some really good examples of some customer service. So my CEO decided, you know what the heck, let's tweet him and respond and see if he likes what I have to say. Turns out he did. They started talking. Nancy wrote up the full story, which is featured in one of the five top-selling books he has out right now, which is called Zombie Loyalists. It's fabulous if you'd like to read it. It's all about how great customer service will be the difference between having a horde of loyal followers or a smattering of semi-enthusiastic people following your brand. So without further ado, actually a little further ado, I'd like to introduce Peter Shankman, the creator of HARO, which is Help a Reporter Out, which is the reverse of normal public relations with journalists searching for sources instead of us pitching our sources to the journalists. He has written plenty of PR books that I had to read in college, not to date you, Peter, or myself, called Can We Do That?, where he talks about having CEOs jump out of airplanes, a fabulous Yoo-Hoo-sponsored 30th birthday party that he threw himself, and a roving ball of yarn in New York City. I don't know if you will get to any of those stories, but plug for his book, go ahead and you can find all of them. So now, without any actual further ado, Peter Shankman.
Well, thank you. That was one of the most interesting introductions I've ever had. It was essentially, so this guy's old and he does PR. So that was cool. But it's great to be here, and I appreciate you allowing me to talk and speak, and I hope what I have to say is valuable. I'm currently fighting a 12-pound half pit, half dachshund dog under my desk for this. So if my arm moves, you'll understand why. But it keeps him from barking, so that's a good thing. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the concept of public relations and the concept of how to do your PR job better, how to get a little bit of press, how to get companies to how to get the media to listen to you, right? And hear what you have to say, and with any luck, report it. You know, the biggest problem that I've seen, and I mean, I should give you the background. I started a company called HARO, Help a Reporter Out, back in 2007, and it was acquired in 2010. But the basic premise behind HARO was that everyone's an expert at something, and if I could put together the journalists with sources, I could help a lot of people, and that's what happened. But one of the things that I learned over the course of doing all that was that the majority of people who interact with the media have absolutely no idea how to do it. They tend to promote themselves as if they were, telling the world how great they are. There's a time and a place for that, and talking to a journalist usually is not that time. Your job in PR, your job when you're trying to get press for your business, for your company, for yourself, your job isn't to tell the world how great you are. Your job is to help the reporter do their job. If you are able to help the reporter do their job better, you will more than most likely get media. The thing about uh, uh, journalists, especially today, is they're being asked to do 10 times more with 5 times less. And because of that, anything you can do to help a journalist do their job better will benefit you tremendously. Um, let's talk first. Let's talk first about the concept of the pitch. So, journalists are looking for information all the time. They don't stop looking for information just because they have finished one story. Chances are they're working on 8 different stories at any given time. The majority of journalists you're going to interact with are freelancers. They might be writing for the New York Times one day, for the Wall Street Journal another day, and for Guns and Ammo, right, or Fishing Weekly or whatever another day. So you have to understand where they're coming from. They are constantly looking for information that benefits them and helps them write the articles they are working on. So to understand that, think about how you would put yourself in the position of a journalist. If I am writing a story on an industry, whatever industry that might be, my goal is to have as many sources with knowledge of that industry that I can call at any given time, because the chances of all of my sources being available to me whenever I need them are slim to none. So the first thing I recommend when you're reaching out to reporters, first of all, do your homework and understand which reporters are covering your industry, what they're covering specifically. If you work in finance, that's a big industry, right? Not every journalist who covers finance is going to cover your section of the industry. So long before you pitch, months before you pitch, your job should be to look around and see what journalists are doing, what they're writing about, and start to get a feel for which ones are covering specifically what you guys do. The worst thing that I get is, I write a blog. I have a podcast and a blog called Faster Than Normal, which focuses on the concept of ADD and ADHD, as well as all forms of neurodiversity. So ADD, ADHD, autism, executive function disorder, things like that. And I can't tell you how many times I get press releases or pitches from PR people representing a doctor, representing someone who has absolutely nothing to do with what I write about, right? But somewhere I must be tagged as a medical writer, as a science writer, and nothing could be further from what I actually do. And so I must get 10, 15 emails a month, completely off topic, right? I don't even bother to read. I used to respond and say, hey, I don't cover this. I don't even bother anymore. And you'll find that when you're sending out pitches that are off topic, you're going to get very little response. You can tell how well your pitch is doing by the percentage of response you're getting. So what is a perfect pitch? A perfect pitch is 3 paragraphs. It's directed to the right person. It's very quick and to the point. It's, hi, my name is so-and-so. I work for this company. We are currently the leader in XYZ. That's the first paragraph. If you're ever working on a story having to do with your industry here, I'd be happy to provide background, give you information on other companies doing what we do, and of course, introduce you to any of our executive suite at whatever time is convenient for you. Feel free to reach out. Here's all my contact information. Have a great day. That's it. Now, the one thing that I said in there, which confuses a lot of people, is I recommended that they reach out to me so I could give them not only my client or my boss, but other companies in my industry as well. And you might be thinking, oh my God, why would you do that? That's taking away from me getting media. Well, you'd think so, but actually that's not the case. If you are willing to give a reporter other industry leaders, apart from just your company or yourself, what winds up happening is you actually strengthen your own pitch. Because reporters, when they do a story on your industry, they're not just looking for you. They're looking for other leaders in the industry that can justify why they're writing the story. Keep in mind, every reporter has an editor, and every editor has to approve the reporter's story. So if a reporter is writing a story on, company XYZ and how awesome they are, it'll never get approved because the editor is going to sit there and say, wait, that tells the audience nothing. The audience doesn't care about one company. They want to know about the industry. They want to know about trends. They want to know what's going on. Being able to offer a reporter a bunch of different sources, some of whom might have varying opinions, fills the story out and pretty much guarantees that you're going to at least get a call back. The cool thing also about offering other sources in your industry, so competitors, is that the reporter is going to be very grateful, and chances are you will be the lead in that story. They might mention a couple of other companies, but as a thank you, I've noticed more often than not, you will wind up getting first run, right? And they'll start the story off with you. I remember I gave a reporter an idea for a story back in 2017 about people who get up super early. I mentioned how I'm usually up and on my treadmill or on my bike or outside running by 4 a.m. I'm currently training for the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. And I know it doesn't look like I am, but I really am. And this will be my third Ironman, and I'm actually doing this one to raise money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. You can find that at shankman.com/Ironman. If you find this information I'm giving you useful and want to donate to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, go to shankman.com/Ironman. But I told this reporter that I was, I had this idea that there are a lot of people who get up super, super early and get more done by 6 a.m. than most people do all day. And the reporter was intrigued. She said, okay, you do that, so you're obviously crazy. Do you know anyone else who's obviously crazy? I said, by all means, here's 5 different people. And the story ran on the front page of the personal section of the Wall Street Journal, listed not only me, but listed my website, Faster Than Normal, my podcast, Faster Than Normal. And I think the podcast was about 7 months old that day, 7 months old at that time, and it went from an unknown podcast to the number 2 most downloaded health podcast on all of iTunes in like under 24 hours because it appeared in the Wall Street Journal. So ask yourself, how can you help a reporter? Your job, again, is not to make the client happy, not to make your boss happy. Your job is to make the reporter happy. Some of the best pitches I've ever seen are also the shortest pitches I've ever seen. Because on average, a reporter is getting hundreds of emails every day. And they are not reading them all. Sometimes they're not going past the subject line. If you can get past the subject line, if you can get a reporter to focus past the subject line, you have something there. I find a lot of times the biggest detriment that you'll find in your email is that your subject line sucks, right? I've seen subject lines, my God, they make you want to bleed from your eyes. There's something along the lines of my favorite is request for coverage, right? And that's all it says. I'm not even going to open that, right? That is such a waste of my time. I can tell you right there, that's such a waste of my time. Think about what the reporter needs to see. The reporter is looking for, this dog is she's 9 months old and ridiculously strong. The reporter is looking for a trend. The reporter is looking for a new piece of information that no one else has, right? So if you are able to give them that, they're going to open your email. So can you use the word exclusive? Can you give the reporter something that no one else knows? Can you give them an exclusive story? Can you give them the chance to impress their editor, the chance to get to write a great story that wins an award, right? Can you give them the chance to break some news? And I'll give you a hint. Company XYZ repaints conference room is not breaking news. Can you give the reporter the opportunity to break some news? What do you know about your industry? Can you do studies? I remember I was back in when I ran my agency back in 2003. I was one of my clients was Sleepy's, the mattress superstore. I think they've since gone out of business, not through no fault of mine. I was long gone, but I was working with them, and covering a mattress is a really boring story, right? Oh, a mattress, you lay on it. Every year there's a giant mattress conference, and they get a little bit of press about the new super soft whatever. And that's about it, right? They rely on massive sales on President's Day. They rely on celebrities sometimes. Now they're relying on social influencers. I was actually sent a mattress by a company called Molecule last month. I have a king size mattress. I'm using it. It's a good mattress. Of course, my Serta is now up against my wall because I can't use two mattresses. Anyway, so Sleepy's and I were trying to figure out what to do. And they're pretty much based in New York in the tri-state area. So I came up with the idea of let's find out which borough has the most interesting sleeping habits. Of all 5 boroughs in New York, which one has the most interesting sleeping habits? Which one gets the least amount of sleep? Which one gets the most amount of sleep? Which borough has the most sex at night? And we created a survey, 15 questions, I guess. And I distributed it to everyone I knew, and they distributed it to everyone they knew. And I think we get about 1,100 replies. And we took those 1,100 replies and created this huge factoid, this fact sheet. Ready for this? By the way, Queens is having the most sex, just FYI. So we, at least they were back in 2003. We took the fact sheet and called someone at the Daily News, a reporter who had a good sense of humor. I said, hey, which borough do you think has the most sex? Which borough do you think gets the least amount of sleep? Staten Island, by the way, gets the least amount of sleep, which makes sense. I've lived there. People stay up all night wondering why they live there. I'm sure that's the reason. But we got the cover of the Sunday lifestyle section of the Daily News, right? By coming up with a story about mattresses. Now, it wasn't a story about mattresses. It was a story about New York City sleep habits, but it was sponsored by Sleepy's. Sleepy's was mentioned 6 times in the article, right? According to the Sleepy's CEO, Sleepy's, the mattress professional, you couldn't buy that kind of press. So that's the kind of thing you have to ask yourself. What can you do that's different? What can you do that will intrigue a reporter and make them want more? I'll give you a couple more examples of pitches, both what to do and what not to do. I had a journalism professor who was also a reporter at Boston University. He was a reporter for the Boston Globe. And he gave me, to this day, one of the best pieces of advice I ever received in my life, which is be brilliant at the basics. The bar is so ridiculously low, both on the customer side, the experience side, the pitching side, the PR side. The bar is just low. We don't expect good results for anything. If you don't believe this is a universal fact, think about your last flight back when we were still flying. Think about how you got to the airport 3 hours early, and your line moved really quick until you got there, and for some reason you screamed terrorist. You look like a terrorist, and they brought you in a little room, and they dissected everything you had, and they gave you a probe of some sort, and it was not a fun experience. And you get out of there, now you only have 20 minutes to make your flight, but it's okay because you're at gate 3. It's right there, except they moved your gate to gate 279, which is 6 airports in 4 states that way. And now you are, running across the airport. You've had 2 mini strokes, right? Your clothes are falling off. That's what we expect. They gave your seat away. So if you could just get to your flight, take off on time, land on time, and not crash into a mountain, you're going to be over the moon. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. If you can come up with the most basic brilliance, all right, what does that mean? That means something like getting the name right, understanding what the reporter covers, using the jargon the reporter uses. I can't tell you how many pitches I've gotten where in the first line something is wrong. My favorite at this point in time has to be Mother's Day of 2020. So a little over a year ago, I got a pitch. Dear Peter, we understand, especially during this pandemic, that working moms like you have it tough. I framed that one. It was so bad. It was a makeup or a soap makeup and hair care company, and they wanted to send me all these products to improve the manageability of my hair and help me remove my makeup with ease. Because working moms like me have it tough. So, what can you do to make things easier? Well, being brilliant at the basics is a great start. Get the person's name right. Get the spelling right. Understand whether they're male or female. But let's take it a step further. How do you find sources? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. You want to know where your sources are, obviously, before you pitch them. So start doing your homework. You don't need to buy a $50,000 access to a media list. You don't. You can get the information you need 90% of the time from social media. As much of a dumpster fire as Twitter is, every journalist in the world is on there. If you can go onto Twitter and start figuring out where your journalists are, create a list. Twitter has this ability. If you go into on the main page of Twitter, twitter.com, you have the ability to create Twitter lists where you can take any category, right? You can find journalists through search and then add them to a Twitter list. And you can call that Twitter list anything. I would opt for journalists I respect, right? Why not start off on the right foot? So being able to put a journalist on that list, if nothing else, guarantees that they will have heard of you. I know that every time I'm added to a list, I get some sort of mention or some sort of note via Twitter dings me. And I can tell you that I am currently on over 2,900 lists, apparently. So people have listed me. No, I take that back. 4,700 lists. People have listed me on over 4,700 lists, which I think is pretty crazy. But it tells you that people are interested in trying to figure out what I do and how to reach me. And so they've put me on this list. And if I get a pitch and it's something I'm interested in, one of the first things I'll do is I'll go to Twitter and I'll look them up. I don't even go to LinkedIn. I go to Twitter. And again, Twitter is a tire fire, but it has value in that regard, in that you can find people who are doing things that directly link with what you want to talk about, with the media you want to get. So being able to go in and pitch that reporter with just a little bit more information than just their name is incredibly valuable. So ask yourself, where can I find these reporters? Where do they hang out? Well, they hang out on Twitter. They're probably on Facebook and Instagram as well, but I don't recommend it. Because, I mean, first of all, Facebook is who uses Facebook. But no, I'm just kidding. People use Facebook, but it's not. Facebook and Instagram are more private than Twitter. Twitter is by its very definition, is a public entity. Very few people protect their tweets. The majority of people on Twitter are open. That's the basic behind Twitter. And so if you're able to get to find out more information about this journalist, you are already ahead of the game, because most people don't do it. Keep in mind, when I said the bar is low, I wasn't lying. Bar is ridiculously low. I remember I interviewed Tony Robbins for my podcast. He has ADHD, as if you couldn't tell. And I was talking to him about the firewalking stuff that he does in his courses. I'm like, dude, what's up with that? And it teaches people to be. Okay. I'm never gonna make you walk on fire. I'm never gonna make you walk on coals. That shit is hard. We don't need to do that. All I need you to do is be slightly better than the norm. And when you consider how low, again, that bar is, when you consider how many journalists get pitched wrong information, get pitched bad information, get pitched misinformation. You know, there's a great line from the TV show The Newsroom, the first episode, where Jeff Daniels talks about how 50 years ago, we were a great country and we made great decisions, and we were able to make those decisions because we're informed. We were informed by great men who were revered because they told the truth whether we wanted to hear it or not. And that doesn't really exist anymore. Your job is to find the journalist who is still willing to do that and help them to do their job better. If you're able to do that, you then have the ability to get to the top of their inbox. And here's the cool thing about a journalist. Like I said, most of them are freelance, and even the ones who are not, even the ones who work for the Journal or work for, NBC or whatever, they tend to move around a lot. I have had journalists who have hit for the cycle. They've worked for CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and one major network like NBC, CBS, whatever. They take their Rolodexes with them. For anyone on the call who's under 35, a Rolodex is like Outlook, but it had cards and you'd turn it. And these reporters take their Rolodexes with them. And what does that mean? That means that if you're in their Rolodex and you benefit them and you've helped them once, they're going to call you again. I gave a quote about Peloton to a reporter from Business Insider a year ago. Any time Peloton does anything, she immediately calls me. Just yesterday, they announced that they've added a lock to their treadmill, which I have right there. You can see it. Where is it? There. How do I reach it? There is my treadmill. And Peloton added a lock feature to it so kids can't jump on it. And she calls me immediately. She's like, hey, see the news about Peloton? What do you think? I have been quoted in Business Insider about Peloton probably, 10 times in the past year. So it is pretty incredible how easy it is to get in the press once you have established those relationships. And the best way to establish relationships, again, is to offer help. You're not trying to pitch a story, you're trying to help a reporter. I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already, sign up for Harrow. It's free, helpareporter.com. You will get 3 emails a day with about 75 queries from journalists 3 times a day. I sold the company, my God, over 11 years ago now. And so I get nothing from it by telling you this, but it is still a very good service. It is owned by Cision. They're the large media database company. It is a free service. Just sign up. It is pretty amazing. There's the dog, by the way. You can see him in the background. Hi, Waffle. His name is Waffle. I'm the typical single dad who put my foot down and said to my 8-year-old daughter, there's absolutely no way we're getting a dog. And anyway, that's Waffle. So what else would I focus on in terms of the media? Understand that different types of media require different formats. So online, 24 hours a day, right? You will have your best luck pitching online media because they are always hungry for content. They always have to fill content. It's not a question of a 6-month cycle. They have to fill content every single day. So the more interesting information you can give them on a regular basis, the more likely they are to call you when they need something. TV, if you have the ability to speak well and you have the ability to spin a great yarn, or more importantly, have the ability to create sound bites, you will be beloved on television. I get called to go on CNN or MSNBC or even local like Pix 11 here in New York or Fox 5 at least once or twice a week. And the reason I do is because I give great soundbite. I can read a story, read the background of the story, and then when they cut to me and ask for my thoughts, I can put together a great soundbite. If you have this ability, focus on television. If you don't have this ability, you can learn it. Take a class. In what, you might ask? Take a class, and you're going to laugh at me when I say this. Improv. Improv is an incredible resource that is very, very useful to learn how to become a better speaker, even though they disguise themselves as a cult. The thing about improv is that when you join it, you will immediately be asked to bring 10 of your friends to come see every show, and there'll be a 2-drink minimum, and it's a little weird. But What are you chewing on now? But there is an incredible benefit to improv, and that benefit is that you will learn to answer one question, and that one question is, and then. If you can answer the question and then, you will never be at a loss for words. The biggest thing that improv focuses on is answering the question and then. If you can answer and then, media will bring you back over and over and over again. Also understand, I'd say that you have a little more leeway with print magazines. Some magazines, New York Times Weekend Magazine, that has like a 4-month runtime, right? So if you're looking to get a story in for Christmas, to especially to magazines like Vogue or Elle or Cosmo, any of those the magazines that have that huge Christmas holiday issue, they're working on it now, right? So if you have a product you want to pitch, you start pitching it now. And it sounds crazy, but yeah, TV is 6 months out. I'm sorry. Magazines are 6 months out. TV is 3 months out for holiday. Also, keep in mind, if you have knowledge about a breaking news story, if you have knowledge about something that's currently happening in the world, for me, the president before Biden was a gold mine for me, because I always talked about my talking is about marketing. My talking head stuff is about marketing, about what happens when you screw up, how to fix it. So TV would call me pretty much a regular basis, especially when the previous president was running for office and he was, saying horrible things about different ethnic types and things like that. They would call me sometimes twice a day, right? Hey, he just said this. Can you comment on it? Yeah. Understand that if you're looking to do TV, or even if you're just looking to do, print or web, you need to be accessible more than you could ever imagine. I have canceled more dinners and I've left more parties, and I've left the gym. I was going for a run in Central Park. This is my favorite story. I was going for a run in Central Park probably, God, it's had to be over 10 years ago now, maybe 15 years ago. And I was about 5 miles into a 6-mile run. So I was cresting the hill at 72nd Street on my way back down to 59th Street where I entered the park. And my phone rings at CNN. Peter, hey, can you possibly come to the studio in 20 minutes? Well, I lived a little bit away from the park, but at 59th Street in Columbus Circle is CNN's headquarters. What they were there, now they're in Hudson Yards. I said, yeah. I said, I can. I'm like a half mile from you guys right now, but I'm sweaty. I'm finishing a run. I don't have time to go home and change. And they go, no problem. Come here. We'll find you a shirt and a jacket. I literally finished my run, ran to the Time Warner Center on 59th Street, Columbus Circle, took my sweaty ass inside. The producer met me downstairs with a towel. She walked me in. I was drying my face. I was trying to stop sweating. She gave me a bottle of water. We get up to the studio. There was no amount of makeup that was going to get me my face unread. I mean, you've never seen. I don't run as much as I lumber, right? I'm a somewhat decent runner. I mean, I'm about a 10-minute mile, 9.5-minute mile, but I am not what you would consider graceful at all. And so when I run, my face gets red, and I look the part, right? And so I remember they gave me a towel. They put me into makeup. They found me a jacket and a shirt, and I was sitting behind a desk, so I had my shorts on. They didn't care. I remember the makeup artist. She comes in, hi, and she just looks at me. She goes, "Oh, you got to be kidding." She's like, "There's nothing we could do for you." And then she just threw a pound of pancake makeup on my face and said, "Okay, have fun." But I did the story, right? And that story became a legend around CNN. They would talk about it all the time, and they'd call me, and they knew that wherever I was, as long as I wasn't on an airplane, I would be there. And you know what's funny? You never know what's going to get you press, and what press begets press, right? So you get on one TV show, you get on one newspaper, media sees that, and they're going to go to others, and they're going to call you. Hey, I saw you on CNN. Can you talk about this? I just got interviewed by French television last week. They're doing a story on Jennifer Aniston. I went to high school with her, and 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, I was interviewed by an American TV show doing a story on Jennifer Aniston, and I guess they did their research and they came back 10 years later. This French TV company said, "Hey, we saw you 10 years ago. Can you talk about it?" Oh, sure. So press begets press. If you do a good job on one, you're going to get calls for others. So you want to make sure that every hit you do is your best hit, right? Focus on it. Practice. Role play. Find friends who are willing to listen to you. Find friends who are willing to ask you hard-hitting questions, right? The last thing you want to do is be on stage. Well, I don't, it's not going to work. Have 3 to 4 go-to points about your industry, about your company, about you, whatever it is that you know like the back of your hand and can refer to whenever you need them. If you can do that, you can come up with those 4 points. You can then take those 4 points and make them into any kind of story you want. I've done that many times where I've been able to, whatever my story is, right? Whatever my major story is, I'm able to create. Okay, Wappa, you can't chew on that because that makes noise. You can chew on anything else, but not this. Okay, I got to take this away. Sorry. Here, chew on this one. You like this one. This is my life now. You can create those 4 talking points and then make an entire world around it. So you can create anything that you want around those 4 points. And then you can add those, expand those out to whatever the reporter's talking about. There used to be a governor, I don't remember what state, but my God, there was a governor who was like a legend at doing this. They could ask him about water on Jupiter, and somehow he could tie that back to how a balanced budget is better for his state. I mean, it was incredible. So figure out ways to bring back the story to your safe space. What is the safe space that you know the most about, that you're the most comfortable with, that you're good at being in? If you're able to get there to that safe space and bring back whatever they're questioning, you'll be okay. At the end of the day, a journalist wants to talk to someone who has a valuable point, quality information, and can tell them something that their audience has never heard before. If you can do 2 of those 3 things, you're a legend. You can do 3 of those 3 things, you're going to call every single time that journalist needs something. Finally, last point I would offer is this: reach out to a journalist when you have nothing to pitch. The worst thing you can do is only reach out to a journalist or reach out to a journalist for the first time cold with a pitch. It's probably not going to go well. But if you can reach out to a journalist when you have nothing to pitch, that's technically how I started Harrow. I would email journalists once a year. This quick emails. Hey guys, just going through my records. I know that we work together. Or I've read your stuff. I know a lot of people. I talk to everyone. I have massive ADHD. I talk to everyone. If I can ever find you a source and you're on deadline, you need a source, shoot me a note. I probably know someone. That's it. Not a pitch. Just offering some help. Thanks, Peter. Here's my contact information. Some journalists replied, "Oh, you're an idiot. I'm not going to, why would I use you? You're self-promoting." But the majority of journalists would call me. Hey, I saw this email you sent. I don't know. Maybe you're full of shit or not, but I'm doing a story on blah, blah, blah. Who do you know? And over time, I'd find them someone they needed. And you do that once, you're beloved, right? They will call you every single time. And that led to what is now Help a Reporter. So figure out, how can you help a journalist today? What can you do when you don't have anything to pitch? I just send them an email. Hey, read the story, phenomenal piece. I work in that industry. You ever doing a follow-up? You need a quote, whatever, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. Here's my LinkedIn page. Here's my bio, whatever. Great story. Take care. That's it. So figure out how you can do that. And again, this is not rocket science. I mean, rocket science isn't even rocket science, it's math. But this is not rocket science because the majority of people don't do this well. So I don't need you to be awesome. I don't need you to go get a graduate degree in how to pitch journalists or how to get more PR. I need you to understand that being able to do quality public relations comes down to understanding how a journalist likes to get their information, what they need, when they need it, and how you can best deliver it in the way they want. You do those 4 things, everything else is cream cheese. It literally is that simple. So I love talking about this stuff. I find it a lot of fun. I am the problem. One of the problems with ADHD is that I give about 2 hours worth of content in about 40 minutes, which really screws up uh, timetables when I'm the opening keynote at a 10,000 person conference and everything is like scheduled down to the minute. So here's what I'd like to do. My email is peter@shankman.com. I am at Peter Shankman on all of the socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, uh, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever. I'm at Peter Shankman everywhere. You are welcome to reach out. I am more than happy to chat about this or anything. I am honored to have been here today. I'm very thankful that you guys brought me in. I hope this was useful. And I am also more than willing to take any questions that may or may not have come in. I don't know. I don't think my comment section is working, but if there are any questions, I am more than happy to take them. And yeah, thank you guys for having me. I hope this was useful.
Thanks, Peter. We did have a couple questions. They're actually on a separate chat line, but one of the questions was like most of the times with credit unions, we find that they're letting people know that they had an event or that they, maybe they awarded scholarships to some kids or, a new CEO's come on board. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to pitch to a reporter about that. They're just going to write the press release and send it on out. Now, how do you suggest is the best way to go about that? Would they, just write it up and send it out to these reporters, or should they, find some type of a list that they should keep maintained for that?
I mean, you should always be maintaining a list. You should always have a list of journalists who cover your industry, whether it's local, have a local journalist list, have a national journalist list. For something like, hey, we awarded scholarships. Well, that's a feel-good story, right? Everyone loves a feel-good story. We need more of those. So you can actually go and you can focus on journalists in different industries. That gives you the opportunity to reach out to education journalists, right? Who maybe you've never talked to. Teen journalists who cover teens, right? Journalists who cover kids. Reach out to, for something like that, reach out to local community college newspapers, right? They'll be very receptive to that. But a simple press release, I'm just not a fan of them, right? There's so many, they never get read. It's very rare. It's very rare that I get a press release and want to read it, right? I'm more about oh, it's a press release. That means it was sent to everyone. There's not much of a point in covering it. So instead of a press release, think about going to specific journalists, right? You can mass blast a press release to 1,000 people. You'll get no coverage. Or you can target a specific pitch to 5 specific journalists. Each pitch that you target to them, when you're just reporting and, hey, we're doing an event or we did an event or we're giving out scholarships, whatever, here's why this is important to you. And here's why your readers will, or your audience will find this important to them. Make that connection. Focus on making that connection that allows the journalist to say, hey, this is valuable information. That's probably the biggest differentiator that separates people who do this well from people who don't. I'm not saying that press releases are inherently bad. Look, if you're a publicly traded company, you have your fiduciary responsibility. You have to send out a press release. But that's kind of where it ends. Right? I'm not going to write about something that's in a press release if you send it to me, because chances are you send it to everyone. But if you pitch me specifically, hey, Peter, I know that you went to a public high school in New York City. I did my research on you. Well, you should know that our company is awarding 50 scholarships to public inner city high school students in New York. I'd love to tell you more about it. Feel free to reach out anytime. That's going to pique my interest. Right? Because I would have killed for a scholarship when I was in high school. I was not valedictorian. There's valedictorian over here, and then I was like probably down the hall, like, looking at something shiny. So that to me is a phenomenal hook. What is the hook you can reach out to you don't need to pitch 1,000 journalists. You need 5 good ones who understand the reason that you are intruding on their day. And that is that you want to help them because you have information for them that is beneficial to them and connected to their audience. That's what you're looking for.
Well, that certainly is very interesting and clears up sometimes why maybe some things that we send out don't get in the newspaper or, in the journals.
The problem is, the problem is just that a lot of, press releases are boring. Inherently, they are just boring, right? And that's not what people want when it comes to interesting news, especially think about it this way. If you're a journalist writing for a newspaper, you probably have to write 6 or 7 articles a day on different, small little different. That's 6 or 7 different articles that each one you have the opportunity to make good, to create something useful. Are you gonna, are you gonna waste one of them on company holds event, right? But you giving out scholarships, right? Tell me, if I'm a journalist, show me how the scholarship you gave has changed the life of a kid, right? Find the kid who got that scholarship who couldn't afford to, is the first kid in his family in 8 generations to go to college, and you made that happen. Your company made that happen, right? That's the story they want to read.
So it's not necessarily so much about the news as it is about the story behind the news.
Exactly. It's always about, there's always a deeper, I always quote Shrek, right? Ogres are like onions. They have layers. Well, so does this, right? You want to peel back those layers and find where that differential lies.
There we go. Well, Peter, I want to thank you for coming today. You certainly have opened our eyes to a lot of interesting information and shared a lot of insight as well. And I know you have another engagement that you need to be getting to. So I did put your email into our chat box. So anybody
Awesome.
who would like to reach out to Peter, please feel free to do that
Yeah.
at peter@shankman.com. And I want to thank you again, Peter, and say goodbye for now. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for having me. One more plug for the Ironman, shankman.com/Ironman to help the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
There you go. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Bye-bye.
So again, I want to thank Peter for joining us, and there's a lot of good information shared there. So I do want to touch base. I think we still have Dara and Amy online. I did want to just touch base with Amy because I know that there's so many things that Epic Marketing can do for a credit union, and helping with press releases is one of those things, and news releases, from the aspect of their connections that Epic has, and also from the connections of the writing skills that Dara brings to everything. So, Amy, Dara, anything you'd like to add to Peter's information from today?
So at Epic, we practice what Peter preaches, to be blatantly honest with you. We will do all sorts of things for PR, but we separate our pricing for the people who would rather us take that extra time, that extra effort to really develop those personal relationships with those reporters, do our research, reach out to them, make sure that we've looked at their past stories, that we are pitching specifically to the people that are most likely to pick things up. But then we also do offer some of those more general public relations offerings, which are just general writing for your press releases. We can help you write articles. We can do all of that. So we really run the gambit of our services, and we try to work with all of our different clients to be cognizant not only of their goals, but also of their budget and how we can best work that in to reach both.
And how can folks reach out to Epic if they would like to inquire about your services?
Sure, you can reach us online at epicmc2.com. There are a bunch of, there's a contact form on there, but then you can also reach out to any of us. I am Amy at epicmc2.com, and Dara is Dara at epicmc2.com. I will put this in the little chat if you ever want to reach out. I am usually the person that you will be initially speaking to when you decide to meet with Epic. It will be me and our project manager, Flora. We can talk to you about your different goals, what you're trying to achieve. And from there, that's when we hand you off either to the experts on our team who do that specific thing that you're looking for, or we bring a bunch of those team members together to come up with a larger campaign. So if anyone is interested in learning more about what we can do for you, or if you already know what we'd like to do for you and you just want to get us started, go ahead and reach out to us.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Dara, I did want to ask you, I know you have your blog that you do, so, and you also write, other pieces for other people. How do you get the tone of the organization that you're writing for?
I think, going back to some of the things that Amy has said, that Peter has said, it really is about building connections and getting to know people, getting to know our clients, getting to know, just who is in the network. As Peter was talking about his hello email, I love that he was saying, it's just 3 paragraphs. That's all you need to kind of get in and out of there and show that you're a friendly, knowledgeable person. It actually reminded me of one of our podcasts that Epic has done on the Epic website. In addition to finding, all of our contact information and references to some of the work we've done, there are tons of resources from the blog to the podcast. Where I think, we've even interviewed you, Carol. And so I think that's another resource for people to consider, that I talked with our host, Jess, about pitching yourself. So sort of similar to what Peter was saying of, pitching journalists, just mastering the hello email, which can be so scary to just put yourself out there and not be sure if you're going to get a response, if you're going to get a good response. But really, it just comes down to doing your homework and being willing to put yourself out there and having a positive attitude.
Awesome. I want to remind the viewers, if you have any questions for Amy or Adara, please go ahead and type them into the chat room, and we'll get them over to them. And while we're waiting for that, I just want to mention that we do have additional episodes of the series coming up. Next week on June 30th at 11 o'clock, it will be media outreach. Again, Peter will be back with us to tell us how to reach out to different medias. And Dara will be on hand also to give us kind of the story behind the story, so to speak. Part 3 is on July 8th, and it's basically going to be about telling your credit union story. We have in the wings for that, we have Richard Dines with the credit union Open Your Eyes campaign to talk about the importance of sharing your credit union story. It's something I know credit unions really don't like to blow their own horn. They like to do a lot of good deeds, but they don't like to tell everybody about the good deeds that they're doing. So we want to kind of encourage on that. And then part 4 on July 13th, we'll have our own Walter Laskas, our wizard behind the screens here today. And he's going to be talking about inspiration every day, and maybe thinking differently about how you can report your good news, and also the different kinds of good news that your credit union does. And he will also be speaking with Isaiah Moskowitz on that. And you've seen Isaiah on our credit union marketplace Mondays. He's a host on that. He's hosted for us on many things. So that should be a ball of fun with Isaiah on there. So again, I just want to say, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and reach out for that. In the meanwhile, Amy, I know that that as a partner of CCUA, that our credit union, our member credit unions, can reach out to you for practically anything they need. You guys are basically a nuts to bolts, or nuts to soup, or however you want to say it. You can do everything from just talking about something to getting print involved and campaigns out and online and everything else. We have a few minutes if you just want to go over that lineup really briefly for everybody.
Sure, yeah. So we like to say at Epic that we come from a place of yes, which is really just our fancy way of saying whatever you need, we will figure out how to get it done for you. So as we said, we do everything from traditional print and above the line media, which is where you do not target specific individuals based on different demographics, but it's more of that general mass targeting, such as commercials, billboards, ad placements, and things of that nature, where yes, you can do some targeting by placement and the channels that you run it on, but it's more for that broader audience. And then we also do digital marketing, where we can do very specific targeting across various digital channels, social media, programmatic marketing, all of that in order to reach your niche audiences for some specific offers that you might be doing. And then we also have our marketing catalog with already designed and created brochures that are campaigns that you can look through, see if you like them. And it's a budget-friendly option to have a fully customized campaign that is for your credit union that's just a little bit more affordable because we've already done the heavy lifting kind of thing. And it's able to be fully customized with your branding, your colors, all of that stuff. So that's another service we offer. Gosh, what else? I know that we are going to be at Apex this year for the CCUA convention. So I'm really looking forward to that. We are going to have a booth there. So anybody who is going to be there, I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you in person. So please stop by our booth. We have a super, super fun theme planned. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is, so I won't. But I'm very, very excited. And let's just say that it's genius and chemistry combined, kind of, for our theme. So
Ooh,
I'm very pumped.
there you go. You got us all intrigued now. So everybody, you go ahead and make sure that when you get up to the Apex, make sure that you swing by the Epic booth and see what's going on there.
Yes, there are going to be some fun goodies that we might be handing out. Dry ice may be involved. There's a bunch of ideas spinning around right now.
Oh my goodness. As long as you're not like making green slime or something like that, I guess, and even that,
Well,
I suppose would be fine.
but green is not off the table.
There you go. There you go. Well, so, Dara, do you have any last comments that you'd like to make for this week? And again, we're going to be welcoming you back next week for some further insight as well.
Yeah, I think, just to echo Peter again, it's all about building authentic connections and doing what you can to help people. If all else, just think, how would I want to be contacted? Put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and that's the way to go.
Exactly. Public relations is kind of just like building friendships. You don't ask for a favor from somebody you just met. You make sure that you're both contributing to the relationship in a way that moves it forward, that you can build trust and reliance on each other. And, in such a way, that's the same way as public relations and any other relationship.
It's people relations.
Yes, people relations. It's exactly right.
People, not public.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So we're just about pushing up against our 12 o'clock mark. Again, I want to thank Amy and I want to thank Dara and of course Peter as well for everything they brought to the discussion today. And I did put up in our chat the emails for Amy and Dara and also Epic's website and Peter's email as well. So please feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have. You can also reach out to me. If there's anything that we can do at CCUA to help you, we'd be glad to do that as well. So for this week, we want to say thanks for joining us at the Writers' Workshop, and we'll see you again on June 30th at 11 o'clock for part 2. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.
Bye. Thank you for having us.